So our tip of the week today is managing Xreference documents. So if you're going to send those Xreferences out, there's a couple things to remember. First, as I mentioned, go to External Content, open up your Xreference settings, and that will open up. In your Xreference Manager here, you can actually manage Xreferences with a couple of different options. You can kind of see those to the right here: attach, detach, reload, unload, and bind. I used to work in AutoCAD many years ago, and I can remember using each of these for some very major projects that we worked on. So these are really important in the AutoCAD world. First off, before I get to those, you have two different view options here within your manager. You can see right up here to the top. And so you have a list view and you have a tree view. Okay. So list view basically will show just a list of the different files that have been referenced. And a tree view is kind of a nested view. Actually, this can be very helpful when you have nested Xreferences. And this will happen from time to time when people will reference, for example, let's say you've got a multi-unit housing project. And you've Xreferenced in different units, and within different units, you've Xreferenced in different versions of different parts of the unit. So for example, I have unit 1, and I've referenced that in several times. And then within unit 1, maybe I have different kitchen options that I go back and forth on depending upon the unit. And so that's where you then have a nested kitchen option design within the unit 1, which is within your project. So those can be nested options that you can look at in your tree view. Also, you can you'll have see some different options along the top here. There's the reference name, which of course is the name of the reference, status, whether it's been loaded, detached, reloaded, unloaded, or bound, the size of it, of that reference, its type, whether it's attached or an overlay, what date, when it was, its instance, and its translator. Now, as I mentioned, there were 5 buttons to the right of your Xreference settings. The attach will attach the Xreference. Okay, that will bring up the Xreference dialog box. It'll go find the Xreference and attach it. Detach will, as it's kind of implying, it will detach the Xreference, but it will keep the information within. So basically, it removes it from the project file. If you want to use it again, you'll have to attach it again, and status column will reflect the attached state. So this basically removes the Xreference, the attributes, including attributes, layers, line types, etc. And so, but it will still maintain it within the view. Reload, when the DXF DOG file is updated and modified, you can reload it. And then unload keeps the selected external reference file attached to project file, unloads it from memory. File's contents will not appear on the floor plan, okay, but it's still in memory, and as opposed to attaching, which removes the file from the project and the Xreference management file list. So really 2 different ways of doing it depending on how you want to remove the information. And then bind, what bind does, we used to do this all the time in our AutoCAD, where we would bind the information to it. So it basically makes the Xreference now a permanently part of your project. And so you need to be very careful with that, because that can no longer be detached or unbound. And so when you do this, all the layers will now be a permanent part of your project. You can no longer, except for deleting them, delete that. Of course, you can always delete them, but it also will attach all the attributes, being line types, and any other attributes that are part of it. So those are different options. And that is our tip of the week.